Hello, friend. I am so glad that you are watching right now. We're actually beginning a series, and it is so important. Many people spend their whole lives chasing after things that really don't matter, and God gives us a list of things that we should pursue in life, and that's what we're going to be talking about. If you got a Bible, grab it, sit down, and we are going to get into the Word together. Hi, I'm Bayless Conley. In life, we all face uncertainty, whether it's financial troubles, relationship valleys, a health crisis, or just trying to discover your purpose. One thing is for certain, God sees you, He loves you, and no matter what you're facing, He has the answers. You know, I have a very distinct memory of when I was attending Bible college. We had a class where the students got to teach. Everybody got their 15 minutes and they preached their sermon, and it was so boring. And some of them, were so bad and basically preaching these highly plagiarized messages. And I'm sitting in there one day thinking, okay, let's hear another boring 15 minutes of somebody, re-preaching a message they borrowed from someone else. And I looked up to see the student that was going to be speaking, and my whole universe turned sideways. It was a really cute girl. And I thought to myself, how is it that I have never seen her before? And I decided right then that I was going to ambush her in the hallway after class and ask her out to lunch, which I did. And when I introduced myself, the little small talk with her, and then I said, hey, I'd love to take you to lunch. And she said, well, I have to pray about that. And she got back with me, 3-4 days later, it might have been more than that. And she said, you know what, I prayed about it. The answer is no. Well, long story short, I didn't give up. But later on, I asked her out again, and she said yes. And 8 months after our first date, we were married. Now, Janet and I, we are just a few months away from our 40th wedding anniversary. And I want to tell you, next to accepting Christ, the thing that I'm most greatly thankful for is that I didn't give up in the pursuit of that girl. I pursued her until she caught me. Now, there are things in the scripture that God tells us to pursue. And He tells us to pursue them, number one, because they're really important. And number two is because though they even may be within the scope of God's will for us, we'll never experience them or never realize them unless we go after them. So in this series that we're beginning right now, we're entitling it Great Pursuits. We're going to be talking about the things that God tells us to pursue. And if we pursue them, we can have them, we can experience them. And I want to begin with this one. It's something that everyone realizes is important, but they don't necessarily pursue it. We're going to talk about the pursuit of peace. Let me read to you 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 10 and 11, which is actually a quote directly out of Psalm 34 from the Old Testament. But here it is, 1 Peter 3, verses 10 and 11. For he who would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Seek peace and pursue it. Now, in Psalm 34, where that quote comes from, it primarily deals with seeking peace with God, seeking peace from God. But here, where it's used in the New Testament, the basic idea is seeking peace between people. In fact, all of the verses prior to it and the verses following it all deal with different relationships that we have. But it is true that we will never have the highest peace with people until we first have peace with God. Do the Bible says in Romans chapter 5 that when we were enemies, Christ died for us? That literally now we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. It's almost like you have, two nations that are at war with one another and they reach a peace. Well, mankind, people like you and me, because of our sinful nature, we were at war with God and with the principles of God and with the character of God. But he made peace. We didn't make it. He made peace through his son, Jesus Christ. That peace with God doesn't come through our good works, doesn't come through personal merit. It doesn't come through personal sacrifice. It is not the result of some personal spiritual evolvement, where we reach, some state of nirvana or revelation. No, it comes through Jesus. In fact, the scripture says this in Colossians 1:20, that Jesus made peace through the blood of his cross. The only way we can have peace with God is by embracing the gospel, the good news that God so loved us that even in our sinful state, even in our wicked state, he sent his own son who became one of us. He wasn't born in a castle, wasn't born among the elite and the influential, but he was born basically in a stable and raised in a poor carpenter's home. And then he began to show people what God was like. He worked miracles. He spoke like no one had ever spoken before. He spoke of God not as if he were aloof and distant and unconcerned, but he spoke of him as a loving father. And the people clung on every word. But because some became jealous, some of the religious leaders became jealous, they turned public opinion against Jesus. He was taken by cruel hands. He was put through a mock trial, beaten without mercy, and he was crucified. And there on the cross, God laid the penalty for our sins on Jesus. He became our substitute, and he died under the weight of our sins. He paid our debt in full. On the third day, when God's claims of eternal justice had been forever satisfied, Jesus was raised from the dead by the power of the Holy Spirit. And the Bible says if you embrace that, you can have peace with God. Literally, the Holy Spirit comes and changes your inward nature. And then once we have peace with God, we can know the peace of God. And let me tell you how that comes. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 says, be anxious for nothing. Don't worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Once we have peace with God, we can know the peace of God. And the peace of God, it guards our heart, it guards our mind. It brings us into a state where we don't have to worry about anything. And that comes when we talk to God. It says in every circumstance, everything you might be going through, let your request be made known to God with thanksgiving. Thank him that he's answering you. Thank him that he's hearing you, and the peace of God will be yours. God will give you peace if you will talk to him about your troubles. I can remember many years ago, I had done something very foolishly. I had entered into a business deal with someone that was going to do some very, very expensive work for us, and I did it on a handshake. He came highly recommended by someone that I trusted, and well, he didn't keep his end of the bargain, and by not doing what he had promised when we shook hands, he put me in dire straits financially. And I went into a tailspin. I saw no way out. It was going to affect me for a long time to come. It was going to affect my family. I wish I had time to tell you the whole story, but listen, it was bad, and I didn't know what to do. I just went into this despondent state. I ceased communicating with my wife even. It just got so bad, and I was just so filled with anxiety and depression. And I was sitting out on the curb in front of my house one day, and I was just kind of moaning, saying, God, what do I do? And I felt like the Holy Spirit says, why don't you do what you preach to everyone else to do? That wasn't what I wanted to hear, but I knew it was right. So there, sitting on the curb, I poured out my heart to God, and I let my request be made known, and I began to thank him. And something amazing happened. This supernatural peace settled down over my heart and over my mind. And the problem hadn't changed, but something had changed in me. I wasn't worried anymore. It was beyond explanation. And I remember, I was so relieved. I'm there on the curb. I stand up and I lifted my hands and I just began to worship God. And I literally began to walk back and forth and shout and thank God and praise God in front of my house in the street. I know some of the neighbors saw me. I know some of them thought I was crazy. I know one guy for sure because he made reference to it later on when I was talking to him. But it didn't matter. I'd given it to God and I had the peace of God. And you know what? It wasn't long that God worked a miracle. It came down an avenue that I never suspected possible. It never entered my mind that an answer could come that way. But God answered my request and he got us out of the situation. So because I had peace with God, I could experience the peace of God. Listen, it's not a coincidence you're watching me right now. You are loved by God and he wants to have peace with you and he wants you to experience his peace on your heart and on your mind. And you may be distraught right now in your present circumstance. You may not know what to do. You may battle with a deep, dark depression. I'm going to say it again. It's not a coincidence that we're together right now. God wants to help you. As we said, those verses from 1 Peter chapter 3, where we are told by God to seek peace and pursue it, primarily deal with peace between people. Actually, read the surrounding verses. Some of them talk about peace in a marriage situation, talks about marriage relationships, talks about relationships with believers in the church. And then it even goes in the verses after and talks about, having a relationship with people that would seek to harm you, persecute you, and make your life difficult. The scripture says in Hebrews 12 and 14, to pursue peace with all people. Does that mean my neighbor? Yes, it does. Pursue peace with all people. Does that mean your father, your mother? Yes. Your boss, your fellow employees, your brothers and sisters in the church? Yes, yes, yes. The unsaved, not, obnoxious person that gets on your nerves so easily? Yes, yes, and double yes. Seek peace with all people. Romans 14 and verse 19 tells us this. It says, therefore let us pursue the things which make for peace, and the things by which one might edify another. Pursue the things, plural, that make for peace, and the things whereby we may edify or build up one another. Most generally, things that build up will bring peace. Things that tear down will take away peace. And what are some of the things that we should pursue that we might find peace with people? Well, number one, I would say there is prayer. Prayer changes things. In fact, in Psalm 34, where we originally find those verses that Peter quoted, where it says to seek peace and pursue it, the words that directly follow that in Psalm 34 are this: the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. It's a direct reference to prayer. Prayer will bring the influence of God's Spirit upon people's hearts. It will bring the influence of God's Spirit upon situations. And sometimes you can get a breakthrough just by praying. But generally, I'm going to say generally, that's just the starting place, but it is the best place to start. Praying for someone that you don't have a healthy relationship with at present can be so important. When you do, God will begin to change your heart and your attitudes. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. I thought you were talking about that I'm supposed to just pray that God will change them. They're the ones that's the problem. No, you can't influence that. They may yield to the influence of God's Spirit. They may not. All we can do is yield to what God is doing within us. God may do something with them, but that's not under my control. But what I can do is cooperate with what God's trying to do in me. Jesus spoke along these lines. He said this in Matthew 5 and 44, but I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Many years ago, I had foolishly put a man in a significant leadership role in the church. I was a young pastor, and I did it, more because I wanted things to appear right in people's eyes. I didn't want them to, think I was some sort of a renegade, not answerable to anyone. And so, I just let them know that, these people, I'm accountable to them. And looking back, it was out of the, a right/wrong motivation of my heart. Is because I just wanted to be right, but the person I put in there was wrong. And this guy caused me so much grief. I mean, he turned some people in the church against me, began to whisper, and I had people come to me in tears and say, I haven't been able to look at you in the face because so-and-so said this, but I've just decided I'm not going to believe him anymore, Pastor. And that wasn't just one person. And numerous people came to me and said, this guy is saying X, Y, and Z. And so I went to him and I said, look, we need to have lunch. And, we went and had lunch, and I said, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And I mentioned, all these people came in, they've all said the same thing. And he completely denied it and carried on with what he was doing. I was praying one day up in my office. And as I was praying about the situation, suddenly God opened my eyes. And I saw this man. I saw him from God's point of view. And God showed me that he actually believed that he was right and somehow guarding the church. I mean, it was wrong, it was twisted, but in his way of thinking, he actually thought he was doing the right thing. And he wasn't personally trying to harm me. I never dreamt in a million years that he didn't have malice toward me. And it changed everything about the way I dealt with him and about the way I view this situation. And God did give me wisdom, to make things right and to get the right people, in that situation. But my point is this: there was an unhealthy relationship there. And I began to pray. And man, I wanted God to change him. And God eventually did. But first, God changed me. And I was able to have a right relationship when God changed me. The second thing we can pursue to have peace with people is communication. We need to have some peace talks. We need to start, talking to God about people, but then we're going to need to sit down and talk with people. Talk with people about God, talk with people about what's on our heart. It may be someone that we've got a very different view of something, different perception about something. Generally, we have to be able to talk. Proverbs 18 and verse 19 says, a brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle. Meaning it's going to take time and thoughtfulness and planning. You don't just come and speak out of your emotions to someone, but give it some prayerful thought before you engage in conversation. Start with prayer, but then talk to people. And you have to remember, when you communicate, the goal is not to prove that you are right. If you and I are in conflict, and I've prayed about it, I want to have peace, and so I've spent time in prayer, now we're going to talk. My goal should not be to convince you that I'm right. No, the goal is peace. That's such an important thing to remember. And here's something else. When you talk to someone, here's some really important words to learn. You listen carefully to their side of things, and then you say, you know what? I hear what you're saying, and I'm sorry. And that doesn't mean I'm sorry you're such an idiot. It's not, well, I'm sorry that I said this or that, but if you didn't always do this, I wouldn't have reacted with it. That's not a real apology. It's just like, I'm sorry, period. Forgive me. Now, some people, they've never learned how to give a proper apology. I mean, they may offer someone the rose of an apology, but they always make sure that the recipient gets pricked with a thorn in the process. So be willing to talk, be willing to humble yourself, And then it's got to go beyond that. It's got to go to actions, because a lot of times words in themselves are not enough. You might even think about offering that person a gift. It's a powerful form of communication. And I'm not talking about bribing somebody or buying them off, but if I give you a gift, something that it doesn't have to be expensive. It might be something that I personally own, something that's valuable to me, something you think that they might like, but what it says to them is, hey, I value you, and I've thought about this, and I've thought about you, and I place enough value on our relationship that I want to invest in it. It can be a powerful form of communication. I had a friend one time was on the phone with one of his employees. Actually, he's a pastor of a church, and it was one of the main assistant pastors there. And the guy was frustrated that this guy hadn't done something, and he's in his car, and he thought that the phone had hung up, and he turns around to his wife. He thinks he's hung up on the guy. He says, man, I can't believe, and out of his frustration says, man, I can't believe this guy doesn't have the sense, to have done that. Man, I just can't trust him at all. I'm so frustrated at him. Man, he's a terrible employee, and just kind of went on and ranted, and then, just sort of cooled off and thought, man, I never should have said that. Well, he gets to the church, and the man walks into his office and puts his resignation on the desk, because it turns out the phone was not hung up, and that employee heard everything he said. And my friend said, look, I am so sorry. I was angry, and I shouldn't have said it. But he went out and bought the guy a gift and said, look, please don't quit. I value you. I'm wrong. And through that communication, through giving the gift, the relationship was restored. Our actions, are they warm and inclusive, or do we treat somebody like they're a pariah? Do we give them the cold shoulder? It is worth having peace with people. And the Bible says the man whose ways please the Lord, even his enemies shall be at peace with him. It is such a valuable thing. And it's not always possible to have peace. Romans 12:18 says, if it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. King David said, when I speak of peace, they're for war. So sometimes, the other person will not reciprocate. They won't give any ground at all. That they're not willing to walk in peace. Okay, I can't change that. But as far as my attitude goes, I am going to have peace with you. And I'm going to keep heaping the hot coals of kindness on your head. I'm going to speak well of you. And you may never want to walk in peace with me, but I'm going to have a clean heart before God. So we can have the peace of God after we have peace with God. And we can have peace with men. It is worth pursuing. My friend, God says to seek peace and pursue it, because we'll never have it if we don't go after it. In fact, listen, it wouldn't hurt you if you knelt down in your apartment or wherever you are, and you just poured your heart out to God and asked him to help you. And remember, when you do that, take a moment to thank him, because he is listening. His ears are open to your cry. And he doesn't actually promise, from those verses we read a little earlier from Philippians 4, 6, and 7, he doesn't promise that he'll even answer your request. It's certainly implied in those verses, and that is specifically promised elsewhere in Scripture. But what is promised, that if you will unburden your heart and you will talk to him and make your request known with thanksgiving, that he will give you peace. Peace that surpasses understanding. In other words, you can't explain it. There may be no reason why I'm not worried anymore. There's nothing I can point to, that would explain the fact that my mind is not burdened anymore. It's the peace of God. And my friend, it is a marvelous thing to experience. And God wants you to have it. Father, I pray for my friend right now that's watching me, that they would humble themselves before you and open their heart up to you and have a talk with you. And I pray that your peace would flood their heart, flood their mind. You would visit them in a way that they would know you are present and that you love them. And my friend, I do want to tell you this. You are loved by God more than you have the capacity to understand. more than you can realize, more than you can measure, the God of the universe loves you. I hope that you got something out of the broadcast today. I am so excited about this series. In fact, in the next message, we're going to talk about something else that God tells us to pursue. And oh, what treasures that one will open up. You are not going to want to miss a single minute of it. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you to all of those that pray for us and that partner with us financially. We actually take these messages around the world in multiple languages, and we're impacting people in more than 100 nations right now. People are finding Christ. They're having their lives changed because of the impact of God's word. So I want to say thank you. And I want to tell you, you are loved by God. Don't you ever forget it. No one else in your world may tell you that, but I want to tell you, God loves you.